Oh, nice to see. Oh, I love your hair color. Can I
Yeah.
see that?
Oh,
Cut it
that's
off.
interesting.
Maybe it's time to color it before I chop it all off.
Okay.
For a suggestion, by the way, you did have a pretty funny one.
Oh, jeez. It's not working. Some reason it's not working with my AirPods.
Oh well. Anyways, what'd you say? All right, maybe nobody's saying anything. I was gonna say this call's supposed to be like 30-40 minutes, so we can probably get started. Liana, Regina, I don't know if you have met before. Liana is my local friend and a former client, and Regina was also debating coaching or doing a fitness challenge or something like that. So there's that. And I don't know how much of the fitness stuff you guys follow on the web, but I recently have been just asked the craziest questions, and I've been running into like absolutely craziest advice. Everybody's into keto, everybody's into detox, everybody's doing intermittent fasting, I don't know, for fasting for 16 hours or for 3 days, and then doing something else crazy, doing an ab challenge. Just, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. So I got a list of stuff, and if you have something crazy that somebody has kind of suggested to you before, write it down or throw it out at the end of the chat. I would really love to hear like the demystifying all of these things. Hey, Emily. Okay, so number one that we're gonna go with is cardio burns fat and lifting burns muscle. So many women, I know, so I see you guys making faces. So many women think that, and most women that I get usually used to do that have not been very experienced in exercising, right? I get some experienced athletes and some not so much. So the ones who have not been very experienced athletes usually come to me and they're like, oh wait, but like we do the group classes to keep our heart rate in the fat burning zone, or like I get on the cardio machine and I keep my heart rate in the fat burning zone. Means when I'm doing cardio, all I'm doing is I'm burning fat, right? Well, wrong. When I lean out for a show, I don't really do cardio until the point that I really have to, which usually is, I don't know, a couple of weeks before the actual show. And right now, I barely do any cardio at all, you know? And we're talking like intense cardio. We're not talking walking. I'm not gonna count walking leisurely as cardio. That's just your daily activities. That's what you should be doing anyways. It's not really exercise. Yeah, you do burn some calories if you walk all day or if you hike all day, but you know, let's not get there. So yeah, you burn fat when you're in caloric deficit, right? That's pretty obvious. Or you gain, well, let's say you burn fat and muscle at the same time, always. Regardless of what you're doing, you're gonna burn some percent of fat and some percent of muscle. And that ratio is gonna be different depending on your macros, on your program, and on how well everything else is planned, right? Pretty obvious. You can do cardio and burn fat only without lifting. That's fine. You're probably also going to burn more muscle rather than if you were lifting and doing no or a little bit of cardio. Does that make sense? Thumbs up. Yeah, okay. Then the next thing is the fat burning zone. I got the question from one of the clients. She was going to swim for cardio. And I actually thought about doing this myself. But the thing with low intensity steady state cardio, such as like jogging, when you're really lean, so this lady is pretty lean. Like she is probably about 5'7" and weighs like 100. She weighs 60 kilos. What is that in pounds? 135, 130. So anyways, something like that. Not a very big human. She's pretty lean. So she does a lot of Pilates, like yoga, kind of exercising on her own. And we just added some cardio to get her deficit to dip a little without taking out any calories. And she wanted to swim. Well, that's fine. However, with low intensity, steady state cardio, it works best to maximize your recovery. You want to do low intensity and say, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes and maintain your pace. You're going to maintain your pace and maintain your heart rate. When you swim, it is really hard to swim intensely for 15 minutes, right? Without breaks. At least for me, I don't know. I feel like I could do like a swimming sprint and get my heart rate up enough. So it does feel like it is kind of moderate intensity, steady state, but then I have to stop. If I run though for 15, 20 minutes, or if I brisk walk or do an elliptical or Stairmaster or row, it's much easier, right? Which is why I'm not sure swimming is the right thing. That's kind of more towards the higher intensity cardio, right? You do a sprint and then you walk back, or you do a swimming sprint and then you swim back. So hope that covers the fat burning zone. It's kind of a myth almost. So if you do want to burn more fat, you're probably, and you think you should decrease the intensity of your cardio, you're probably wrong. Your cardio probably needs to be a little bit of a notch higher. You need to feel out of breath. You need to feel burning the muscle. If it is so high to the point that you feel like it's unsustainable, it's more high intensity, it has different benefits than steady state and is applied, I would say, a lot less. It's more taxing on the nervous system, but still, it needs to be pretty intense, whatever the cardio you're doing. Make sense? Thumbs up. All right, next one is detox. Who has ever detoxed? Raise a hand. I have, when I was young and dumb. Yeah, that hasn't. Emily, have you? No, Regina, we don't see your face, but you can type anything in the chat if you want. I'll read it. So when I was young, I grew up in Russia, and there's a lot of advice that is like, oh, just drink kefir or eat watermelon for a couple of days, and maybe eat buckwheat for a couple of days, or oatmeal or whatever. And a lot of women follow this mono diet advice at the same time as here, now it's like a popular fad that your body has so many freaking toxins, you just need to get rid of them. And for this, you need to buy this expensive jar and that expensive jar to eat after detox, and these vitamins and those. And I mean, it usually revolves around selling you some bullshit products, honestly. If you think your body has toxins and it's not going to survive without those, then ask these people to provide some research that it's actually the case. I have not seen any research in my life as a coach and as a human post puberty, post trying those things when I was a teenager, right? I have not seen anything that proves that we need to detox as humans. You don't see dogs detoxing or cats. You don't see animals doing this shit, and we're animals after all. So I really don't get it. If anybody can prove this to me scientifically, that'd be wonderful. So if somebody's trying to sell you something like that, even if they're selling you on, like, I don't know, a keto diet, for then you to fast for a couple of days, do a detox, and then jump on that, what is the logical reason behind it? I'm really not sure. Maybe they're trying to prove you that, like, yeah, you eat more fats and protein on a keto diet, plus you have starved yourself before, so you're supposed to have this mental clarity or whatever they call it. And because you're eating less carbs, your body retains less water. So it does appear that you're a leader. In fact, when your body is in starvation mode and first you do feel hungry, yeah, it holds onto an unnecessary weight, but then you kind of either keep going or you crash or binge. That doesn't make sense to me either. Speaking of which, we got two different diets, right, to lose weight. I would say even vegan or plant-based, even though I'm plant-based. Some people do, and then they're like, oh man, like a lot of people lose fat, lose weight on a plant-based diet. Well, first, I really don't like when they say it's a vegan diet, because vegan's an ethical thing. Let's say plant-based diet. If you're trying to eat to not eat animal products. You can't eat crappy on it, right? Coca-Cola, fries, and vodka are all plant-based. What happens if you eat those things? Sure, even take a vitamin. Good for you. I mean, and have some soy milk. But there's a way to screw up almost any diet. We're getting back to the foundation of either you are in caloric deficit if you're losing weight, or if you are in maintenance, or if you are in caloric proficit, right? And you're bulking up, you're getting muscle, right? It's either one of those. No matter the diet you do, you can, harder or easier, do it on any diet. Same thing with keto, even though I just mentioned that because you have less carbs, your body tends to retain less water to manipulate them. So I hope that also makes sense. All right, let's see what's next on the list. Boy, okay, I do get boys and girls doing this, is a ton of abs, thinking that that will give them a six-pack or reduce their waistline. And then at the same time, I would see the same girls and boys at the gym never doing compound lifts, never doing deadlifts, squats, bench press, like those heavy, freaky looking powerlifting moves, like everybody's afraid of the barbell sitting on the machine. Who has seen people like that? Pretty much, I think they exist at any gym, especially if you go to like Planet Fitness or some, you know, some big box gym with a ton of machines and not enough free weight. I see those a lot, even at my gym, even though it's a powerlifting and bodybuilders gym. And to me, it's pretty sad because let's think logically. Biceps is a muscle, right? What do you do to make it bigger? Type in the chat or unmute yourself. What do you do to grow your biceps?
Why, I have to admit that I can barely hear you. I think I have some issues with connection.
Oh,
I don't
no.
know. I just, yeah, you're just getting cut.
Can Emily
No,
hear me well?
I think maybe it's on my side. If no one else is experiencing the same issue,
Regina,
that's probably.
I'm recording it in case there's an issue. You can rewatch it on YouTube later.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if I'm not replying, just know that it's because I haven't heard you.
Gotcha. Emily, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just saying I can hear fine. So.
Okay. Well, do you wanna tell us what most people do to grow their biceps?
I mean, you just work it out, right?
Right. You do curls.
Sounds logical.
Sounds logical, right? And then
Yeah.
here's a follow-up question. What do you do when you do the same amount of stuff for abs?
They grow and you get a big belly.
They do grow. So what happens is if I have fat over my biceps, yeah, I'm gonna have a big arm, but until I lean it out, I'm not gonna have like a lot of definition. And the same thing around the abs, which is why I personally think it's kind of stupid to work out abs unless you're really, really lean and you're like, your life is revolving around having a six-pack. Most people just want to get into a better overall shape and don't really care about a six-pack. They just want to be kind of overall lean. If a six-pack is a deal breaker for you, maybe lean out first and then see if you need to do abs at all. Because if you have been doing compound lifts for your entire life or for your, you know, latest phase of lifting, then it is very probable you already have a six-pack. You just don't see it because it's covered with a thin layer of fat. Like I right now don't have a six-pack, but if I do press on my stomach, I can feel that it's there. So I don't do pretty much any abs at all. And when I get to probably about 15% body fat, it starts to show. So I personally really don't care about doing abs that much. And if some of my clients want to, and it's a deal breaker, I do include in their training, but just want to make sure they'll remember that compound lifts usually, if they're done correctly, and if you know how to engage everything and kind of get everything nice and stiff and staying and focused, those develop abs and core way better than just isolated ab work. And they're more taxing for your central nervous system. And you get more tired, and you work out a bunch of other muscles, and abs are kind of getting the same amount of work as you would be doing stupid crunches together with the rest of your training. So I hope that makes sense. Thumbs up. Awesome. I want to tackle Liana's. Liana sent me a good one that she's heard from her longtime coach before. Do you want to tell us actually?
Sorry, I didn't hear your question.
Yeah, so you messaged me on Instagram the tip that
was
former coach gave you.
Well, she wasn't my coach, because after that advice, I was like, yeah, you're not going to be my coach. So she told me that I shouldn't eat 2 hours before I work out and 2 hours after I work out. And my workouts were like 2 hours long. And I was like, I can't not eat for 6 hours. I'm just going to die. I was very skinny at that time. And for me, not eating 6 hours was like crazy. So I was like, whatever. Yeah, thank you. I just thought it was showing her not being professional.
I mean,
Maybe I was wrong.
there is probably some sense of logic in her advice. Like if you did some super strenuous training, then maybe she was just worried that the food wouldn't be digested and it would just bother you. But like if it didn't, then obviously, you know, that kind of advice is to be judged on an individual basis. So like for me, if I eat within probably less than an hour and a half before my workout, I'm gonna feel like shit, to be honest. But I need to eat after. That doesn't make sense to me. I think eating after the workout, even if you are leaning out, there's no reasons not to. So I usually try to have at least 25 grams of protein and at least 30 grams of carbs right after my workout. So, you know, you can think of like getting it into the little carb window that's 45 minutes post workout. Yeah, there's debates on this existing or not. You're not gonna die if you don't get your protein and carb fix right after the workout, but there's no reason not to if you want to, right?
Yeah.
Emily, have you had any weird workout and exercise myths in your life that you want to share? Have you heard any?
I don't think anything in particular. I've heard like different things about like the fad diets like keto or intermittent fasting was one. But other than that, like I think nothing that I really took to heart. Like it was just the obvious things you talked about, like the detoxing stuff or
Right.
kind of all of this.
I'm
Like,
glad it's obvious to you. It's not obvious to a bunch of people who have education and jobs and you know, go vote.
I usually just kind of take it as like the classic diet and exercise is probably the best way to go.
Yep, I agree. Yep.
Oh.
People always look for the new and the most interesting, but the most boring and traditional advice usually ends up being the one that works, sadly. And if most people believed it, I wouldn't have my job.
This is true.
Yeah, so actually we didn't cover intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting could be useful, but not for a lot of the benefits that people claim it has. Like people claim mental clarity and what else? Anti-inflammation and like some severe fat loss. Like those would come primarily from a good macro split and either enough food if you're bulking or a slight deficit if you're cutting. But in what window you eat that during the day doesn't really matter. However, I will highlight that the benefits of intermittent fasting are that if you have an eating disorder history, having a shorter window to eat food, like if you are recovering from binge eating, for example, does allow you to kind of restrict your binges. So for example, like you can only eat, I don't know, breakfast, like you have to be done in an hour. You can't just be there like sitting and spooning it, watching TV for, I don't know, 3 hours while doing, doing work or watching TV or whatever, and then you like suddenly are done with a tub of ice cream, right? Like you kind of like, it allows people to structure eating more. So that's a benefit. And then another benefit is that you think about food less while you can do other stuff. So for example, if you have 2 meals a day, if you're doing intermittent fasting and you're doing, say, big lunch and big dinner, and you skip breakfast, or you do big breakfast and big dinner between lunch and dinner, it does allow you to kind of be like, okay, well, this is not eating time. I'm not wasting time making food. I'm not wasting time thinking about food. You just kind of teach your body that at that time, you don't have a meal. You can do other stuff. So that's a benefit, but doesn't work well for a lot of people. And also I want to say that the opposite of intermittent fasting is like eating too often is what a lot of people think is like really good for our metabolism. It speeds it up, and then we like burn all the fat in the world and become bodybuilders because all the bodybuilders will just run around with their Tupperware and they eat every 2 hours, right? I have done that, and I can tell you that it makes pretty much no difference in what periods of time you eat your food for an average human, unless you have some disorders, unless you have I forgot what it's called when they remove a part of your stomach because like you're trying to control hunger and nothing else works. What is it called? Does somebody remember?
Gastric bypass?
Gastric bypass?
Right, gastric bypass. Yeah. I do know some people who had it done, and yeah, obviously those people can't eat like huge
I
portions.
live with one.
What?
I said I live with one.
Right. How are his eating habits?
Sorry?
How are his eating habits? Like, is there anything particular about his
Just regular. No, just regular.
Okay, that's cool. Because I've been told by one of my potential clients that they just couldn't eat in like breakfast, lunch, dinner types of things. They had to eat like literally throughout the day. It was like a nonstop kind of snacking type of eating, which was really interesting.
Well, maybe different type of surgeries. His surgery was like he can eat like normal person now, not like before. So.
Good. Yeah, gotcha. Well, yeah, but anyways, in the number of servings into which you split your food, I think matters very, very little above the overall calories. Let's see what else I have here. This is a famous Russian one. If you don't eat after 6 p.m., magic is going to happen. Yeah. What, Liana, you raised your hand. Did you do that?
I did that.
Okay. Why?
Well, it works. It works because you're limiting the amount of food you're eating. Just math. So it works.
Form of intermittent fasting, right? You're just like limiting time, and then you're done. You can like go have ice cream in the middle of the night because you're done. Yeah, awesome. But once again, if like some people, they start eating at like noon or 2, especially in the US. Like you wake up, you grab coffee, you're running late for work, and then by lunch you're like dying hungry. So if you stop eating at 6 p.m., a lot of people, they just like don't have enough time to have the calories. But if you're wise and you wake up early like you do, and then you eat breakfast, and then you kind of do this in a smart way, then that's a really great way. And it lets you sleep better probably too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, not having food within like 2-3 hours before bed is a great idea. But on the contrary, I want to say that especially if you're cutting, there are benefits to having just a little bit of protein right before going to bed, so that you don't burn muscle if you're in deficit. So I do that during prep when I'm like really hungry. I would save like a scoop of protein to have before bed, and I'll make like my favorite protein chocolate mousse, and then I feel like it's a treat and I go to bed happy. But definitely unnecessary for normal kind of eating patterns. All right, so Regina says she has connection issues, so she will just watch the recording later. Do you guys have any questions? Anything I didn't cover?
Do people still do that plastic wrap thing that you mentioned?
Oh yeah, I wrote about it. I didn't write it in the list. Yeah, spot reduction. Okay, yeah. So many people are like, oh man, like I'm fine with my figure, but I just want to lose my belly. I just want to lose my love handles. You can spot reduce. You can wrap all the saran wrap around you want. You can put, I don't know, pepper and cayenne and this burning menthol thing. What is it? Like, you know, the gels that you put like over your area to burn fat. Yeah, and then put saran wrap over it. I mean, I used to do, I still have my neoprene belt, right? And then my first coach made me do that. She's like, yeah, put on the neoprene belt during cardio. And I was like, but it, like, science proves that it doesn't burn the fat. So what the hell is it doing? She's like, well, yeah, it increases your body thermogenesis. So you do get hotter and you burn more overall calories. So essentially, you just sweat a little. I think that is wrong. And I think you just sweat a little more and you get a little more water out. So you are a little more dehydrated. Maybe you consume more water and then you pee out and sweat out more water. So the overall is a kind of net zero amount of water balance around your body. Or maybe you're still slightly depleted electrolyte wise. So you'll be craving salt. But like, supposedly right after the workout, you look a little more shredded. And I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, that must work. I don't think it does really work. People still do that?
I haven't seen people doing that. Maybe I saw it like 20 years ago when I just started, but it was funny.
It is really funny. You said there's like crunching in the class.
Plastic wraps, prepping for workout.
Man, that's so sad. Yeah, I don't know. That's really sad. Awesome. Well, we are about half an hour in, and if you guys don't have any questions, do you have any advice for the topics for 2 weeks from now?
Not really.
All right, Emily. All right. Well, yeah, what's up?
Oh, I was gonna say not off the top of my head, but I
Okay.
might think of something.
Yeah, do think of something, maybe just notice something that bothers you or your friends, or they ask you like, hey, how's coaching going? Yeah, I am totally up for suggestions at this point, because most of the topics evolve from the questions that people ask me too many times. So I'm like, all right, it's enough. We're recording the video and not talking about this ever again. No more plastic wrap. No more cardio to burn fat. No more crunches. Can we not detox anymore? Can we just, no. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining. And I will see y'all in 2 weeks.
All
Have a
right.
good week.
Check that.
Bye.